Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on my channel. And my name is Chantel. I've had hearing loss for more than a decade now. I'm doing something completely different for those of you that have subscribed and liked my channel. I have invited a close friend of mine who is just now starting her experience with hearing loss, although kind of has had hearing loss for a little while. In my time of meeting people who have hearing loss, usually I meet them after they already have hearing aids. In fact, I have to stop myself because often I go, "Oh, what kind of hearing aids do you have?" And then I realize they may not want to talk to me about their hearing aids. Total strangers, Introduce yourself, Ginny.
Hi. Thank you, Chantel. I'm Ginny, and I am getting my first pair of hearing aids on Saturday.
Woohoo!
And it's the culmination of at least a decade plus awareness that my hearing is suffering. Uh, so I'll share that my background is in music, and
Mm.
my dad was a band director, and I played trombone all through K through 12 and college and graduate school. And I haven't played trombone in the past 10 years, but I've been playing it pretty consistently up until then. Through grad school, I took a class on the perception of music and sound and learned things that I would have that were just shocking because our professor gave us all decibel meters and told us to just go around in our normal life and just take readings, like take a reading in the car, take a reading when your air conditioner turns on, take a reading, when you're
Mm.
watching TV and just write it down. And I looked at those levels and was like, holy smokes, I am exposing myself to permanent damage frequently during my normal day. And that just started raising my awareness. I think also at the same time, my father was going through some stuff. He had an ear infection when he was younger and it caused permanent damage to his ears, and he tried to get a surgery to fix it, and it didn't fix it. It had the opposite effect. So this was all happening while I'm like, what's going on with my ears? And because I'm in music, I just didn't I was careful. I wanted to be more careful because I knew I hadn't been.
Right, right. How old are you now?
I'm 52. So
And what
I'm
what is your
52.
profession right now?
I teach business
I know,
management.
actually, I know.
I
I
know.
mean, I'm acting like I don't know, but I know. But go ahead. You tell them.
I teach business management at our local university, and I teach our building's kind of small. The largest classroom's 50, and our seats 50, and that's the room I teach in. And it's uh, a narrow, deep room. And it has, the overhead projector and all of that, which is awesome. I love that. But it does create some noise. And I spend a lot of time trying to make my students. I understand that not everyone feels comfortable speaking out, and I try to create an environment where eventually they feel comfortable and they're willing to participate and try to encourage that. And I have some introverted, soft-spoken, shy students who, when they finally work up the nerve, the worst thing I feel so self-conscious and bad about. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You have to talk louder. And you could just see them like, "Ugh," and like, sorry, I still can't hear you, And sometimes I have students up front going, she said, and it's like, I'm sorry. And so I'm constantly apologizing. And last semester in particular, I was like, I'm so, the past 3 years, I've started saying, I'm sorry, I think I'm going deaf. You got to talk a little louder. It's me, it's not you. Just, I can't, and finally, at the end of last semester, I was like, this is it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of saying I can't hear you. I'm sick of trying to guess what you're saying. And sometimes my guesses are so wrong, they're quite funny. Like, I remember at a dinner, this lady said that she made her daughter her favorite cake for her birthday. And I said, what cake was it? And she answered, and I said, a George Papard cake. But it was a German chocolate cake. And I mean, so yay, hearing loss can be fun. But, uh, and that incident was like 18 years ago when I asked if it was a George Papard's cake, So yeah. Anyway, I finally just bit the bullet and made
You
my
said
second
yes, a George
appointment.
Peppard cake.
I know. I do like George Papard. So, Breakfast at Tiffany's, the 18. Yeah. Yeah.
Only another deaf person can relate to this. So that's why I'm laughing. I'm not
Yeah.
laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation because I've done so many similar things. I totally get it.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, did you just say George Papard cake? Like that's yeah. Yeah.
It's like even when I did my one hearing test at the very beginning of realizing I had hearing loss, the guy, I was like, so did I get a lot of those wrong where you have to repeat back what you think you heard? And he said, well, when we said baseball, you said day spa. And I was like, I must want to go to a day spa. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
I like
um,
that association. Every time Brent watches baseball, I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
go to a
baseball,
spa.
schmoozeball. Let's
Yeah.
talk about day spas. So that is the catalyst that kind of drove you to want to get hearing aids. Now, I myself am very familiar with your family and what you're going through right now with your aging parents.
Yeah.
Why don't you share a little bit about your mom?
Yes. My mother is in advancing stages of dementia. So, it doesn't just stop. And as I become more aware of her dementia, um, I realize, oh, this is something that maybe I need to be aware of for me, not just, of course, right now I'm like, how do I support my mom? But down the
Mhm.
line, what is that going to look like for me? Am I susceptible to dementia? And I don't know how I ran across the information. It might have been on TV or on social media or maybe an article or something that showed that there's a correlation between hearing loss and dementia, or that hearing loss can exacerbate dementia in the onset of it. So that made me think, oh, 5 years ago, I had scheduled an appointment for a hearing test at Costco in March 2020. And that, of course, got canceled because of COVID. And then I just was like, ah, whatever. But since then, my mother's dementia has gotten quite a bit more pronounced. And I was just like, I'm not willing to wait anymore. So when I did go to Costco and get the hearing test, the lady said, for a person your age, this is not particularly abnormal, this hearing loss that you have. You could probably wait like 5 more years or so for it to get worse before you get your hearing aids. I was like, no, I'm not going to wait. Please order them. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the studies as time goes by with people nowadays being exposed to so many loud sounds and earbuds and just the impact to their hearing and to see if there's a rise of dementia or just general forgetfulness. I mean, if you don't hear a sound over and over or can't make out a word over and over, you just kind of lose it. And everybody who goes through hearing loss will hear from their audiologist that hearing is as much in your brain as it is in your ear. So you have to learn the sounds again. Your brain has to process what the sounds are coming through. So it is something I'm going to do a video on later. I definitely want to cover this. But you are right. There was something in the news in the past couple months, actually,
yeah,
about the connection between those two. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how things move forward with that. And you know what? This could help prevent you or limit some of the dementia you might have, push
I
it out or stop it altogether.
am
Who
willing
knows?
to try anything to, decrease the chances of that.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite anything, but many things. Yeah, I mean, even if you go to the Alzheimer's Foundation, you'll see there's a section on hearing loss, and so
Hmm.
it's fairly, or it's well enough established that they're publishing it on their websites. So yeah,
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah, yeah.
Well, when you went to get your hearing test, how did you feel about how it went and your experience there? And how did you choose where you went?
So first I went to my general practitioner and I just said, "Hey, I want to get a hearing test." And then she informed me, "Yeah, you could just go get one. You don't have to go through me." It's like, "Oh, okay, thanks." Oh, first they cleaned my ears though. They're like, "Let's just make sure that." I was like, "Oh, thank you for that too."
And what did she say about your ears? Like, what did she see? Did she think it needed to be cleaned, or was it just to help?
So I'm half Korean, and I guess Asians have wet earwax.
Oh,
It's really exciting. Yeah. So that caused me to order not just my hearing aids, but a dehumidifier case because I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to need that for these. Uh, so yeah, when I like, this is not the first time I've gotten my ears cleaned at the doctor, and it probably won't be the last. So
some people just do, and I didn't
yeah.
realize there was a correlation between hereditary causes for that. But like, I don't have a lot,
And it's
you know.
sticky and gooey, and it tends to run a little like wet. Uh, I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, thanks for sharing that tidbit
yeah.
because that's good for other
Let me
people
tell
to
you about
know.
orifices on my body. No, I'm just kidding. So, maybe edit that one out.
And you were saying like when you went there, it was mostly older people at the counter, right?
Yes. A lot of older people, people with have hearing aids tend to be older, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of people that day getting their hearing aids cleaned or batteries changed or whatever. And yes, I was definitely the youngest person there who wasn't working there.
It's interesting that you noticed that. How do you feel about that?
I felt fine about it because I was just really happy that I was finally getting my ears checked. So I was aware, I did notice it. I felt committed to this path. Like, no, it's just not going to change my mind. I'm still doing this. And I didn't feel, you know, I didn't feel self-conscious. I was just like, yeah, no, I know why I'm here and I need to do this. So, yeah.
Well, I'm so proud of you because so many
Um,
people need to do it and don't follow through until it's much later, and their lives could be so much better.
yeah.
Being able to hear stuff and like, the waves or the breeze through the trees or whatever it is. And think you said on your trip to Greece about was it the chickens?
Rooster. There were roosters
Rooster.
crowing, and they'd start at like 4 in the morning. And of course, we're up because we hadn't adjusted to the time change. And my husband was like, "Damn, those roosters are loud." And I couldn't hear him. I was like, "Yes,
You're
I
like,
can't hear
you're
him."
like,
Yeah.
go to bed, honey.
Yeah. He's like, "What roosters, man?" Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's always those nuances.
Yeah.
What do other people, how do they react when you say, oh yeah, I'm getting hearing aids, or are you even sharing that yet?
The two biggest reactions I've gotten so far are one from my father, who wears hearing aids himself, but for him it was an indicator of his own mortality because I'm old enough to need hearing aids, I guess. The other large notable reaction I got was I got my ears tested in May and then went on a trip and no surprise here, I am a can kicker. I'll kick that can down the road. So it was until June until I finally ordered the hearing aid. So I went back up to the counter and I said, I walked up to the counter and the man that was working there said, "Ma'am, this is the hearing aids counter." It's like, "I know, sir." I like, "Oh no," I said, "I'd like to make an order." He's like, "This is hearing aids." He was like, "Yes, I know, and I have hearing aids to order." So that was kind of fun. Well, and for me, it just made me think, I look too young for this. Great.
Well, I feel
Yeah.
like I kind of feel like we're like in an elite club sometimes. When you're around other people who have them, it is like you can all relate to this frustrations of not hearing or the advantages of having hearing aids and things like that. But I can't wait to see how things unfold. You get them on Saturday?
I do. Yay. Yeah, I get them on Saturday, and you know, um, when we met for coffee about 4 weeks ago, and I shared with you that I finally ordered them, I really appreciated that you talked about the the adjustment period that comes when you
Mm.
get new hearing aids, because I have not done research on what it's like to start on hearing aids. And I mean, people say generally, oh, it's going to change everything. It's going to change your world. You're going to be so surprised. But what I had not heard was it could be frustrating, that you're going to hear everything. And maybe you don't want to hear that much and it might be overwhelming. Or, when I described teaching in a classroom and how there's that overhead projector, and you pointed out that my hearing aids might make that actually a little louder and I might have to work a little to adjust the level. So I'm grateful for that because I want to calibrate my expectations appropriately. And I could see how I might be thinking this is going to make everything better and then feel really disappointed if it doesn't. So, yeah,
I think it will make it better for
yeah,
sure. And
yeah.
I'm so proud of you for going through and following through and not kicking the can too far because you're really going to appreciate it. And I I applaud you for taking those steps to do that. So
Well, thank
um,
you. And
yeah.
one of the things that helped encourage me was when you were coming through town, golly, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, and we were having lunch. And I don't know if you said you had to adjust your hearing aid or something. And I was like, what? I just was so surprised. And so, yeah, I always kind of think of you like, oh, well, Chantel, did this, and maybe I should, like why not? So, yeah,
Uh,
thank you
yeah.
for taking care of your own hearing as an example for me to take care of mine.
That's another topic I want to do is like how to normalize the hearing
Mhm.
loss because people will be like, oh, it's no different than the people who say this usually don't have them, but they're oh, it's no different than getting glasses. But it is incredibly different when you have hearing loss because of the burden you feel putting on other people. Like if somebody else can't see or read something, it doesn't influence me at all. But if they can't hear me, then it influences me because then I have to adjust whatever I'm doing to accommodate that. And that's kind of like I think the major difference between glasses and hearing aids. And so, um, yeah, I think there needs to be more normalization for people in our age group and younger
Yeah.
to uh, to embrace it. Yeah,
Well, I
but
posted my Costco story online, and also just because I have a lot of music friends too, and I'm like, I think a lot of my like my hearing in my left ear is worse than my right ear, and that's where the timpani were when I played in band. Yeah, band. And there are a couple of pieces where I know I'm hearing loss from some specific pieces. And so that definitely shaped it. Have you noticed, or at least I've noticed that as my hearing has deteriorated, the volume of my voice has increased. Like I talk louder, so I can't hear, so I'm talking louder. And my dad, once he got his hearing aids and the good ones that he's getting from the Vets Administration, he was like, God, you really talk loud, Ginny. And I was like, dude, one, I used to have to talk this loud before, but two, um, yeah, all right. I think it's also because my hearing's that bad.
I can't wait to see your first 4 weeks or 5 weeks of having them. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to tell you some of the nuances that it took me a minute to figure out because you might figure them out right away. I mean, there's some things I was like, well, that was dumb. I could have done this and like made this situation better. And so I think you're much smarter than I am, Professor.
I think that's quite an assumption. You keep in mind that I am a can kicker, so I'm not sure I'm going to read the instruction booklet. I may be just calling you. You're like, help me out.
Call me,
Yeah,
call
okay.
me.
Yeah.
Or we could stream back and forth now if you're
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to share with the people here who might be tiptoeing into recognizing their hearing loss, or maybe sharing this video with their friends and saying, you need to get your hearing checked?
Well, if you don't have hearing problems right now, hearing loss, I would say please protect your ears. I mean, I
Mm,
think can't you build in a decibel? Can't you? Isn't there a decibel meter app on your phone? I think you can
there is.
download one. So you don't need to take a graduate class in music and perception. You can just download the app on your phone. And I would say like have earplugs with you everywhere. Like every time I go to a show or somewhere that's louder, I have earplugs in my bag, in my pocket.
That
Protect
is
me.
great advice. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a tendency to talk to those that are hearing impaired on my site, but really it's how do we prepare those to prevent the hearing loss, which is so important. And especially if you have children now, you know, bring the headphones over beware of their earbuds. There is an app. So when I go into certain situations, my it comes up on my watch too, but
Yeah.
there is an app that says loud environment and
Yes.
how many decimals it is. So there are tools out there that just need to make sure you use to protect your hearing. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
my first interview. I can't wait to do the follow-up interview.
Yay.
Yay! And if you're watching this, please don't forget to like and subscribe and or just share the video with your friends who might find this information useful. Jenny's very relatable, and I appreciate you taking time to come and share your story.
Thank you, Chantel.
Bye.